The call came in like any other missing person case. But I already knew how it would end, because I'd seen this case before. Same road, same house, same result. And every time, no one comes back. Most nights in my town pass the same way. Quiet, predictable, almost forgettable. I've been the sheriff here for over 12 years, and in all that time, the worst I've dealt with were drunken arguments and the occasional missing dog. People like it that way. They sleep easier, believing nothing bad ever happens here. Truth is, I used to believe that too. That night started no differently. I was sitting at my desk, paperwork spread out in front of me, the old ceiling fan humming above, steady, endless, like it always did. It was close to midnight, that hour when the world feels like it's holding its breath. Dispatch had been silent for nearly an hour, and I was just about ready to call it a night when the phone rang. Not the usual line. This one came straight through to my office. I remember staring at it, just a second too long. Something about the timing felt off. Calls like that don't come in unless it's serious. Still, I picked it up. I expected urgency, panic, fear, something human. What I got instead was calm. Too calm. A woman's voice, steady, flat, like she was reading from a script she didn't write. She reported a missing person. Her husband hadn't come home. Last seen heading toward the edge of town. No crying, no panic, no fear, just emptiness. The kind that crawls up your spine and stays there. I asked the usual questions. Name, description, last known location, and every answer came back clean. Correct, but wrong. So not wrong in the details, wrong in the feeling, like she wasn't telling me something she lived through, but something she was told to repeat. Then I asked for the address, and she hesitated, just for a second, but I heard it. Then she gave it to me, and something in my chest tightened, because I knew that address. I didn't react, didn't say a word. I just wrote it down, even though I didn't need to. My hand slowed. The pen pressed harder than it should have, like part of me already knew what came next. She stayed on the line, breathing softly, waiting. "Are you still there, Sheriff?" The way she said it, not respectful, not familiar, just certain, like she already knew exactly who I was. "I'm here," I said. My voice sounded steady, but it didn't feel that way. I told her I'd head out right away, that we'd take care of it. The usual lines, the ones people expect. She didn't thank me, didn't react at all. Just silence. Then the line went dead. No goodbye, no click, just nothing. I kept the phone to my ear, a second longer than I should have, listening to the silence, like it might say something back. Then I set it down. The station felt different, colder, quieter, like even the hum of the fan had softened, or stopped noticing me. I looked down at the address again, same street, same house. I leaned back in my chair, exhaled slow, tried to tell myself it was a coincidence. Small towns have patterns, people cross paths, addresses repeat. It happens. But not like this, because I had been there before. Not once, not twice, more times than I could explain. And every single time, it ended the same way. No one came back. I grabbed my keys. They felt heavier than usual, like they knew something I didn't. I stood up. For a moment, I thought about calling someone in. Backup. Another set of eyes. Another witness. But something stopped me. A feeling. Cold. Certain. Like this wasn't a call you bring other people into. Like it was meant for me. I stepped outside. The night air hit harder than it should have. Colder. The town was still, lights off, streets empty. Everything looked normal, but it didn't feel normal. Not anymore. I got into my cruiser, started the engine, and glanced one last time at the address beside me. Then it hit me. Hard. I never needed to write it down, because I already knew where I was going. And the worst part, somewhere deep down, it didn't feel like the first time I was driving there. The drive out there didn't take long, but it felt longer than it should have. That road always did. It cuts along the edge of town, where the streetlights thin out, and the houses start to disappear. After a certain point, it's just open land and silence, the kind that makes your thoughts louder than the engine. I've taken that road before, too many times, each time for a different reason, each time ending the same way. I kept my eyes on the road, but my mind, it kept drifting back. Faces, names, reports that led nowhere. People who were there one day and just gone the next. No signs of struggle, no evidence, just absence. And every time, that same address. By the time the house came into view, I already felt it. That familiar tension, tightening in my chest. The strange part wasn't the house. It was the feeling, like I wasn't arriving there, like something inside already knew I was coming. The house sat back from the road, just far enough to feel separate, isolated, no neighbors, no signs of life, just one structure, surrounded by overgrown land no one bothered to touch. And the unsettling part? It didn't look abandoned. The porch light was off, but the windows weren't boarded, the walls weren't broken. The structure stood intact, untouched, like time had skipped over it. Out here, everything ages fast. Paint peels, wood warps. Nature takes what's left behind, but not this place. This house stayed the same, like time didn't move properly around it. I slowed the cruiser. Gravel crunched under the tires. The sound carried too far, echoing into nothing. Even before I stepped out, I felt it. That pressure. Not just silence, something heavier. Like the air itself was pushing back. I turned off the engine, and the stillness hit instantly. No wind, no insects, no distant sound. Nothing, just absence. I sat there for a moment, hands resting on the wheel, staring at the house, telling myself this was just another call, another report, something simple, something explainable. But that feeling, it didn't go away. If anything, it got stronger, like the longer I stayed, the more aware the place became. I stepped out of the car, the door shut behind me, a dull thud, too loud, too final. My boots pressed into the gravel, each step slower than the last, and the closer I got, the more familiar it felt, not comforting, recognized. That's the difference. I'd stood here before, right at the edge of the property, looking at that same door, feeling that same hesitation. Back then, I told myself it was nothing, just nerves, just the job. But now I knew better. I reached the base of the porch and stopped. There was a line there, not something you could see, not something you could touch. But I felt it, like stepping past it, meant something, like it changed something. I glanced around, out of habit, no cars, no footprints, no movement, still empty, just like every other time. But it didn't feel empty. That was the problem. I stepped onto the porch. The wood creaked beneath me, soft but sharp, too clear, like the silence around it was listening. I reached the door and paused. My hand hovered inches from it. I don't know why I hesitated. I've knocked on hundreds of doors. It's routine. You show up, you ask questions, you move on. But this door, This one felt like a choice. I knocked, into 3 solid hits. The sound echoed inside, dull, hollow, like it traveled farther than it should have. I waited. Nothing, no footsteps, no movement, no voice. I knocked again, harder, still nothing. I reached for the handle, expecting resistance. There wasn't any. The door shifted, slow, quiet, opening just enough to reveal darkness beyond it. A smell drifted out, stale, closed, like air that hadn't moved in years. I pushed the door open. The hinges groaned, long, drawn out. The sound lingered, like it didn't want to stop. Inside, everything looked the same, unchanged, exactly how I remembered it. And that's when it hit me. Every case tied to this place ended the same way. We came, we searched, we found nothing, and we left. Case closed, house cleared. But standing there now, staring into that silence, that phrase felt wrong, not incomplete, incorrect, because this didn't feel like a place that had been cleared. It felt like a place that had been left alone, on purpose. I stood in the doorway, that pressure tightening again, heavy, unwelcome, because this was the 4th time, and for the first time, it didn't feel like I was arriving. It felt like something inside was waiting for me to step in. I didn't stay inside the house long that night, not because I didn't want to, because something in me knew. Staying longer wasn't a good idea. It wasn't fear. Not exactly. It was quieter than that. Subtle. Something that felt corrective. Like the house wasn't forcing me out. It was allowing me to leave. And that thought, it stayed with me. All the way back. I didn't turn on the radio. Didn't call it in. Didn't say a word to dispatch. The road stretched ahead of me, darker than usual, like the headlights weren't reaching far enough, and the whole time, one thought kept repeating. 4th case, same house, same result. By the time I reached the station, it didn't feel like I was coming back. It felt like I was leaving something behind, something unfinished, something I wasn't supposed to walk away from. I went straight to records, didn't stop at my desk, didn't take off my jacket, didn't think twice. I just moved, pulled the files, 3 previous disappearances, 3 different years, 3 different people, no connection. At least, that's what I used to believe. I spread them out across the desk, and this time, I didn't skim. I read, slow, careful, looking for anything that didn't belong. The first case, Tommy Hale, 16. Walked home late. Never made it. Odd last known location, Ridge Road. Search conducted. No evidence. No witnesses. Final note. House cleared. I moved to the next. A woman, mid-40s. Went for a walk. Didn't come back. Last known location, Ridge Road. Search conducted. No evidence. No witnesses. House cleared. The third. A drifter. No history. No ties. No one looking for him. But still, he vanished. Same road, same search, same ending. House cleared. I leaned back slowly, staring at those words. 3 cases, years apart. Different people. Same conclusion. It didn't feel like coincidence anymore. It felt written. Like something following a pattern. Or forcing one. I leaned forward again, flipping faster now, looking deeper. And that's when I saw it, not in the reports. At the bottom, the signatures. Same name, every time. Sheriff Daniel Hargrove. I frowned. At first, it made sense. He was sheriff before me. Of course his name would be there. But something about it felt wrong. So I looked closer. Not at the name, at the writing, the strokes, the pressure. Every signature was identical. Not similar. Exact. Like they hadn't been written years apart. Like they'd been written at the same moment. A cold feeling spread through my chest. I checked the dates. Different. Years apart. But the ink didn't match that. I held the reports side by side. Same tone, same thickness, same shade, like time hadn't touched them at all. And then it hit me. These weren't just old files. They were being kept, maintained, preserved. The realization settled in, slow, heavy. Because there was one problem with that. Hargrove had been dead for 10 years. I remembered the funeral. Half the town showed up. And he wasn't just respected, he was trusted. The kind of man people believed in. The kind of man who didn't make mistakes. And now, I was staring at reports with his name on them, filed after his death. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just sat there, trying to make sense of it. Forgery, clerical error, someone using his name. But none of it fit, because it wasn't just the signature, it was everything. The notes, the wording, the same exact phrasing. Every time, house cleared. I ran a hand over my face, and that's when I noticed it. The silence. Too deep, too complete. The kind that makes you aware of things you shouldn't be, like the clock. I looked up. It had stopped. No ticking, no movement. I didn't know when it happened. I didn't hear it stop. But it had. And something about that made the room feel wrong, like time itself had slipped. I looked back at the files, at the signatures, at the endings, and for the first time, I stopped seeing them as reports. I saw them for what they were, records, not of cases that ended, but of something that keeps happening, over and over and over again. And the worst part, I had a feeling my name was next. I told myself I'd wait until morning. That was the plan. Come back with deputies, run a proper search, follow procedure. That's how it's supposed to work. But some plans don't hold when something is already waiting for you. I don't remember deciding to go back, not clearly. One moment, I was in the station, staring at those files, at those signatures, at those endings, and the next, I was driving, same road, same direction, no hesitation, no second thought, like the choice had already been made, like I was just following it. And the town was completely still, no lights, no movement, just that quiet, the kind people trust, the kind I used to trust. But now, I knew better. Silence doesn't always mean nothing is there. Sometimes it means something is. The house came into view faster this time. Or maybe I just didn't notice the distance anymore. Either way, when I pulled up, it didn't feel like I arrived. It felt like I returned. That pressure was still there. But now, stronger, closer, like it wasn't just around the house anymore, like it had followed me. Or maybe it had always been there. I stepped out slowly, closed the door carefully. Even that small sound felt too loud, too sharp, like it carried farther than it should. I stood there for a moment, just looking at the house, trying to see it clearly, trying to reduce it to something simple. Wood, walls, and nothing more. But the longer I looked, the harder that became. There was something about it now, not visible, but present, like the house wasn't just there, like it was aware that I had come back. And then it hit me, that feeling, sharp, immediate, certain. Something inside the house had just realized I was outside. That thought didn't fade. It stayed, followed me as I walked to the porch, stayed with me as the wood creaked beneath me. And it was still there when I reached the door. Last time, I hesitated. This time, I didn't. I opened it, slow, careful. The hinges dragged, a long, tired sound. And the darkness inside, it felt different. Not just the absence of light. Something thicker, heavier, like it didn't want to be seen. I stepped inside, and immediately, I felt it. Outside, the silence had been distant. Out there, and separate. But in here, it was close. Too close, like it was pressing in from every direction. I closed the door behind me. The sound didn't echo, didn't carry. It just stopped, like the space swallowed it. The air was colder, but not like the night outside. This cold was contained, controlled, like it belonged to the house. I stood still, letting my eyes adjust. At first, everything looked normal. A living room, old furniture, a table, 2 chairs. Nothing broken, nothing out of place. But the longer I looked, the less normal it felt. The dust on the floor. It wasn't right. There were marks, faint, but clear. They started, and then stopped, right in the middle of the room. Like whoever made them had been there 1 second and gone the next. I crouched slightly, studying them. Not fresh, not old, just unchanged, like they didn't belong to time. I stood again, slow, careful. My eyes moved to the table. 2 chairs, both pushed in, perfectly aligned, too perfect, not lived in, arranged, like someone had set it and left. The smell returned, stronger now, not rot, not decay, stale, closed, like air that had never moved. I moved deeper into the house, each step deliberate, measured. Every sound felt louder, my breathing, my footsteps, even the shift of my jacket. The hallway stretched ahead, darker, narrower. The walls felt closer here, like the space was tightening, closing in. I stopped halfway. Something changed. Not in front of me, above me. I tilted my head, listened. At first, nothing. Then, a sound. Soft, careful. Footsteps, moving across the floor above. I froze. The sound stopped. Instant. Silence again. But this silence felt different. It felt aware, waiting. I shifted slightly, and the moment I did, the footsteps returned, right above me, perfectly timed. Not random, not wandering, following. I held still. They held still. A few seconds passed, everything suspended. Then, I took 1 slow step forward, and above me, 1 step answered. Exact, precise. That's when it settled in, not confusion, not doubt, understanding. This wasn't coincidence. It wasn't the house settling. It wasn't imagination. It was reacting, responding to me. And standing there, in that narrow hallway, listening to something move. Only when I did, I realized something I couldn't ignore anymore. I wasn't alone, and whatever was upstairs already knew exactly where I was. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at the ceiling like I could somehow see through it. The footsteps had stopped, but the silence that followed, it wasn't empty. It felt focused, intent, like whatever was up there wasn't moving anymore. It was listening to me. I forced myself to move, slow, careful, each step deliberate, toward the staircase. The floor felt different now, heavier, like it wasn't just holding my weight, it was noticing it. My hand hovered near my sidearm, instinct, habit. But something told me it wouldn't matter here, not in this place. My boot touched the first step. It creaked, and instantly the footsteps above returned. 1 step, then another, perfectly aligned, not delayed, not reactive, synchronized. I stopped, they stopped, and that's when it settled in. Cold, clear, It wasn't copying me. It was waiting, waiting for me to move first. I stayed still, breathing slow, controlled, listening. Then I took another step, and so did it. That was enough. I moved faster now, not running, but no longer pretending this was normal. Whatever was up there already knew I was coming. The stairs ended. I stepped onto the second floor. The hallway stretched out ahead, narrow, dim, closed doors on either side. The air felt heavier here, thicker, like it hadn't moved in years. And then the footsteps stopped, completely. No delay, no echo, just gone. That was worse. I stood there, listening, waiting for anything, but nothing came. I didn't need it to. My eyes had already found it. The door, at the end of the hallway, same place, same position. But now, it felt different. Not because it looked different, because everything else pointed to it. Like the hallway wasn't a space anymore. It was a path. And that door was the end of it. I started walking, slow, focused, and every step deliberate. The closer I got, the colder it became, subtle, but undeniable. My breath felt heavier, the space tighter, like something was closing in. Without moving, I reached the door and stopped. Up close, that feeling deepened. Not fear, something else, something deeper, like standing too close to something you're not meant to understand. My eyes dropped to the handle, then to the lock. And that's when it hit me. It was locked from the inside. I stared at it, trying to make sense of that. If it was locked from inside, then something had to be in there, something that hadn't come out. My hand moved toward the handle, slow, careful. I turned it, nothing. Locked. I stepped back slightly, scanning. No light, no movement, no sound, just that pressure. On the other side, I knocked. Once, firm. The sound hit the door and died. No echo, no depth, just gone, no response. I knocked again, harder, still nothing. But the silence changed, not louder, not clearer, deeper, like something had shifted, closer. I stepped back, thinking. Procedure said call it in, wait, do it right. But something in me knew, if I walked away now, I wouldn't get another chance. I took a breath, stepped forward, and slammed my shoulder into the door. It held. I hit it again, harder. The frame cracked, sharp, violent against the silence. One more hit, and it gave. Splintered, broken open. I stepped inside immediately, expecting something, anything. But there was nothing. The room was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no windows, no place to hide, just four walls and a bare floor. I stood there, breathing slow, trying to make sense of it. The footsteps, the lock, the presence. None of it fit. None of it made sense. I stepped forward, scanning again. Nothing. Still nothing. No movement, no sound, just emptiness, but not normal emptiness. This felt occupied, in a way I couldn't explain. My eyes moved across the walls. Again, and that's when I saw it. At first, nothing, just part of the surface. But the longer I looked, the clearer it became. A mark, thin, uneven, like something had dragged itself across the wall. I moved closer, my hand lifting without thinking. My fingers brushed against it, and the texture was wrong, not scratched, not carved, pressed, like something had pushed outward, from inside the wall, not into it, through it. A cold weight settled in my chest, because I knew something instantly. I hadn't seen that mark before, not earlier, not when I first entered, not even when I stepped into this room. Seconds ago, it wasn't there, which meant something had made it while I was inside, and I hadn't heard it happen. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that mark, not what it looked like, what it meant. Something had changed while I was in that room, not before, not after, during. And the worst part, I hadn't heard it happen. By morning, I had already decided if the house wasn't going to give me answers, the town would. It always does, or at least it used to. I started where people talk, the diner, same place, same people, same routine. Only this time, something was wrong. The moment I walked in, everything stopped. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly, like someone flipped a switch. Heads turned, eyes met mine, then dropped away. Not curiosity, not respect, avoidance. I took a seat anyway. The chair scraped against the floor. Too loud, too sharp. I ordered coffee and waited. No one spoke. Not really. Conversations tried to start again, but they stayed low, careful, measured, like every word mattered. That wasn't normal. Not here. I called Martha over. She'd been there longer than I had. If anyone knew something, it was her. "Martha," I said, kept it casual, easy. "You ever heard anything about that house out past Ridge Road?" She paused. Just for a second, but I saw it. Her hand stopped mid-motion. Her eyes didn't meet mine. And that smile, it wasn't real. It was placed. "Just an old place," she said. "Been empty for years." "Empty?" I asked. She nodded, too fast. "Nothing out there but dust and bad memories." Bad memories. That was new. I leaned forward. "Whose memories?" She didn't answer, didn't even acknowledge the question, just turned away, started wiping the counter, same spot, over and over, like she needed something to do or something to avoid. I let it go, for now. The gas station wasn't any better. The kid barely looked at me. I asked the same question, got the same answer. "Place is empty, Sheriff. Ain't nothing there." But his voice, it didn't match. There was tension in it. Tight. Controlled. Like he wasn't speaking for himself. Like he was repeating something. I watched him. A second too long. He noticed, shifted, looked away. That told me enough. By the time I reached the hardware store, I already knew, but I went in anyway. Old man Carter stood behind the counter, sorting nails, same routine, same slow hands, but when I stepped inside, he paused. Not suddenly, not sharply, just stopped, like he felt me before he saw me. "You been out there again?" he asked. Again. That word lingered. "Yeah," I said. "Last night." That's when he looked at me, and I saw it. Not confusion, not curiosity, fear. Real fear. The kind that doesn't leave the eyes. He studied me. Long, careful, like he was checking something, comparing. Then he leaned in, voice low. "You shouldn't keep going back there." "That's not an answer. It's the only one you're going to get." "I'm not most people." He exhaled slowly, glanced at the door, then back at me. "People don't talk about that place," he said. "Never have." "Why?" A pause, a hesitation, then a slight shake of his head. "Because it don't matter what you say about it. Doesn't change anything. That's not good enough." "No," he said, voice steady now. "It's more than good enough." The air between us tightened. Then I leaned closer. "People are going missing again," I said. "Same road, same house." "You telling me nobody knows anything?" He didn't answer right away, just looked at me. Then, slowly, he nodded. "People know." Something shifted in my chest. "Then start talking." He swallowed. lowered his voice. They don't disappear there. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? He looked at me differently now, like I wasn't asking a question, like I was stepping into something. Then he said it. Quiet, clear, final. They're taken. The word settled between us. Heavy, unavoidable. And the way you're looking at me right now, he added softly, tells me you already know that. I didn't answer. Because he was right. I did know. I just didn't understand. Not yet. He leaned back and picked up the nails again. Conversation over, like he'd already said too much. I turned to leave, but before I reached the door, he spoke again, without looking at me. Some places don't take people, he said quietly. I stopped. What do? A pause. Then, they keep them. That hit harder than anything else. And this time, there was no doubt in his voice. What Carter said didn't leave me. They don't disappear. They're taken. And then, they're kept. Those words followed me all the way back to the station. But they didn't feel like memory. They felt like something else. Like something clicking into place. Because if people weren't just disappearing, then something had to be taking them. And if they were being kept, then they weren't gone. Not completely. I didn't go back to my office. Didn't sit down. Didn't slow down. I went straight to the archive room. The door stuck like it always did, dragged as I forced it open. Most people forget that room exists. Old records, old maps, things no one checks anymore. But if there were answers, they'd be buried here. The air was stale, heavy with dust, with time. I flipped on the light. It flickered, once, twice, then steadied into something dim, uneven, like it didn't want to reach the corners. Shelves stretched out in front of me. Boxes stacked tight. Labels faded, handwriting barely holding on. I started with land records, ownership, permits, anything tied to that house. At first, everything looked normal. The house was built decades ago, owned by a couple, didn't stay long. Then it passed hands, again and again. No one kept it more than a year, maybe 2. That alone was strange. But what came next was worse. It just stopped. No new owners, no sale, no transfer, nothing. The property was listed as abandoned, left alone, like no one wanted it, or like people learned not to touch it. I dug deeper, past the house, past ownership, back to the land itself. That's where it changed. Older records weren't organized. Handwritten notes, partial pages, things that didn't look official, things that looked like warnings. Most of them pointed to the same place. No name, just a boundary. An area marked to avoid. One document stood out, not filed properly, just tucked between others, like someone hid it, but didn't want it lost. I pulled it free, careful. The paper brittle, fragile. I set it under the light. The writing was faded, but readable. It described disappearances, not recent. Old, before the town existed. Travelers, workers, families, is all vanishing, near the same stretch of land. No bodies, no evidence, just gone. I turned the page, and that's when I saw it. A note, different from the rest, sharper, deliberate, like it mattered. Area restricted, do not build. I read it again. Slow, careful, do not build. And yet, the house was there, which meant someone ignored it, or worse, understood it, and built anyway. I kept going, more fragments, more pieces, and then the map, not printed, drawn, by hand. The town barely formed on it, just rough lines, empty space. But that area, where the house stood now, it was marked, not labeled, marked, with a symbol, crude, uneven, drawn again, and again, like one line wasn't enough. A circle, broken, layered over itself. And beside it, one word, contained. That word hit harder than anything else. Contained. Not avoided. Not abandoned. Contained. I leaned back, staring at it, trying to understand. If the land was marked like that, if people knew, then the house wasn't random. It wasn't coincidence. It was placed, deliberately. I went back to the newer records, compared dates, lined them up. And that's when I saw it. The timeline didn't match. The warning came first. The disappearances before that. And the house? Built after. Which meant whoever built it knew. They didn't build it to live in. Didn't build it to hide something. They built it to contain it. That thought settled in, slow, heavy, because it changed everything. The house wasn't the source. It wasn't the cause. It was the barrier, the boundary, the thing holding something in place. And if that was true, then every time someone stepped inside, they weren't entering a house. They were crossing something, a line, a threshold, something that wasn't meant to be crossed. I looked back at the map, at that word, contained, and suddenly it didn't feel complete, because containment only works if it holds. I stared at it longer. Then the thought came, slow, unwanted, but impossible to ignore. What if it wasn't holding? What if it never did? And the house wasn't keeping something in. It was letting something through. I waited until dark, not because I had to, because something in me knew. It mattered, like whatever was tied to that place. It was stronger at night, or maybe just easier to reach. I told myself I was being careful. Fewer people, fewer risks, fewer questions. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was, I didn't want anyone else with me. Not this time. Not after what I'd seen. Because if what was in that house was real, then bringing someone else wouldn't be backup. It would be a mistake. The town was quiet again, lights off, streets empty, that same stillness, the kind people trust, the kind I don't trust anymore. The drive felt different, not longer, not shorter, heavier, like something was pressing in, at the edges of my thoughts, not words, not a voice, just a pull, constant, steady. When the house came into view, I slowed, didn't think about it. The headlights swept across it, cut through the dark, but not completely. The light didn't sit right. It looked like it was being absorbed, swallowed, like the house gave nothing back. I stopped farther away this time, killed the engine early, didn't want to announce myself. But even that thought felt pointless, like I was already expected. I sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel, looking at it, trying to feel something, hesitation, fear, anything. But there was nothing, and that was worse, because it didn't feel like courage. It felt like I had already decided, a long time ago. I stepped out, closed the door carefully. The air felt colder, but steady, unchanging, like it didn't belong to the night anymore. I moved toward the house, slow, measured. The outline stood there, still, silent, watching. That thought came again, and this time, it didn't leave. I reached the porch and stopped. Not from fear, something else, something final. Like this moment mattered, like crossing that space again, meant something, like it wasn't just a step, it was a choice. I stepped up. The wood creaked, but the sound didn't carry. Not like before, like the house didn't need to hear me anymore. It already knew. I reached the door, didn't knock, didn't hesitate. I pushed it open. It gave way too easily, like it had been unlocked, waiting. The darkness inside was different now, Not dim, dense, thick, like the light behind me couldn't follow. I stepped inside, closed the door, and this time, there was nothing, no echo, no sound. The silence didn't sit in the room. It wrapped around me, tight, close. The air felt heavier, harder to breathe, like something had changed. Or maybe I had. I moved forward, slow, watching. Everything looked the same. Same furniture, same layout, same stillness. But it didn't feel the same. I could feel it, not around me, inside the house. Like it wasn't empty anymore. Like something had filled it. I stopped in the center of the room, listened. Nothing. Then a sound. Soft. Different. Not footsteps. Lighter, like fabric shifting against wood. It came from upstairs. But this time, it wasn't reacting. It was moving on its own. That changed everything. I turned toward the staircase, body tense, eyes lifting, toward the hallway above, toward the door. And the moment I saw it, I knew something had changed. The door wasn't closed. It wasn't locked. It wasn't untouched. It was open, just slightly, a narrow gap, darkness behind it, enough to know something had moved it. I stopped at the base of the stairs, staring. Last time, I broke that door down. I knew it was closed. I knew it was locked. But now, it was already open, and I hadn't touched it. A realization spread through me, slow, heavy, unavoidable, because there was only one answer left. Something inside that house had opened it. And not just that. It opened it because it knew I was coming back. And this time, it wasn't hiding. It was waiting, inviting, calling me forward. And for the first time, I understood something clearly. I hadn't come back to investigate. I had come back because I was meant to. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at that narrow opening. The door didn't move, didn't shift, didn't react. It just stayed there, open, waiting. I started climbing, slow at first, measured, each step placed carefully, like I could avoid disturbing something. But deep down, I knew. It didn't matter. Whatever was upstairs already knew I was coming. The stairs didn't creak this time. The sound was muted, dulled, like the house wasn't letting it travel anymore, like it didn't need to. By the time I reached the top, the air had changed. Not just colder, thicker, heavier, like I wasn't walking through it. I was walking into it. I didn't look at the other doors, didn't check the hallway. My eyes went straight ahead, to the end, to the door, still open, still wrong. I walked toward it slowly, focused, locked in. The darkness behind it, it didn't behave right. It didn't just sit there. It pressed outward, like it had weight, like it was trying to spill into the hallway. I stopped just in front of it. The air here, denser. Breathing felt harder, slower, like something was pushing back. My hand lifted, hovered near the door, and for a moment, something inside me hesitated. Not fear, something older, something deeper, instinct, the kind that doesn't explain itself. It just tells you, don't. I ignored it. I pushed the door open, and everything broke. The room wasn't a room. That was the first thing my mind reached for, and the first thing it couldn't understand. Because it wasn't just bigger, it was wrong. The walls stretched too far, the ceiling too high, the space too deep. I knew the layout. I had seen this house. This room should have been small, contained. But it wasn't. It opened outward, endless, like the inside had been pulled apart, revealing something behind it, something that wasn't meant to fit. I stepped inside. The floor felt solid, but wrong. It looked like wood, But under my boots, too smooth, too even, like it had been worn down by something that didn't walk like we do. The darkness, it shifted, not clearly, not directly, but enough. Edges blurred, distances changed, like the room refused to stay still, like it refused to stay the same. I turned slowly, trying to take it in. Trying to find something real, something stable, but nothing held. The walls didn't look built. They looked forced, pressed into place. And the deeper I looked, the more it felt wrong. This wasn't made for people. It was something else, something pretending. A sound reached me, soft, uneven. At first, I thought it was my breathing, but it didn't match. The rhythm was off, too distant, too wrong. I stopped, listened. The sound changed, not louder, closer, like it wasn't traveling, like it was already there. Then I heard it, clear, close, my name. I froze. The sound stretched, lingering longer than it should, like it didn't want to end. I didn't respond, didn't move, just listened. Another voice, then another, then another. Not chaotic, not overlapping, ordered, layered, one after another, each one saying the same thing. My name. From everywhere, from nowhere, like the space itself, was speaking. Pressure built in my chest, slow, heavy, not panic, something else. Recognition. I took one step back, and instantly the voices stopped, not faded, stopped. Silence dropped again, controlled, intent, like something had decided, enough. I stood there, breathing slow, trying to steady, trying to understand. And that's when I saw it, at the far edge of the space. Something moved, not fast, not sudden, just enough to exist. A shape, faint, unstable. But there, I focused, tried to see it clearly, tried to understand what I was looking at. But the longer I stared, the less it made sense, like it didn't want to be seen. Then, another movement, closer, then another, and another. Shapes, more than one. Not separate, layered, stacked, occupying the same space. My breath slowed, not by choice, by force. Because in that moment, something became clear. This wasn't a room. It wasn't a space. It wasn't even part of the house. This was something else, something behind it, something the house had been built around. And I hadn't just entered it, I had crossed into it. I didn't move, not because I couldn't, because something in me understood. Moving wouldn't change anything. The shapes were there now, closer, clearer, not fading anymore. They were forming, slow, deliberate, like something was letting me see. I focused on the nearest one, tried to force it into something familiar. At first, it resisted. Edges flickered, shifted, refused to hold. But then, it changed. Gradually, a shoulder, a head, the outline of a face. And then, it slipped, distorted, like it couldn't decide what it was supposed to be. I took a step forward, slow, careful. The air pressed tighter, breathing heavier, like the deeper I went, the less I belonged. The shape didn't move. It stayed, waiting. And behind it, more, not separate, layered, stacked, dozens, maybe more, all incomplete, all shifting, all trying and failing to stay whole. My chest tightened because I understood it before I fully saw it. These weren't shapes. They were people, or what was left of them. A voice broke through, soft, close. "Help me," I turned, sharp. The sound didn't come from one place. It came from within them. One of the shapes moved, not forward, not toward me, just separated enough to be seen. A face emerged, more stable, more real, and the moment I saw it, everything in me dropped. I knew him. Tommy, The name slipped out. Tommy Hale, 16, the first one. The one that started all of this. His eyes met mine, not fully, not alive, but enough. Enough to recognize, enough to know. His mouth moved, no sound, but I understood. I stepped closer, didn't think, didn't stop. "Tommy, listen to me." I reached out, and everything broke. The space reacted, violent, not in movement, in pressure. The air compressed, instant, crushing inward. The shapes shifted, all at once, no longer slow, no longer drifting. They pulled inward, toward me. Tommy's face stretched, not human, not natural, like something was dragging him back. His mouth opened, too wide. And this time, I heard it, not just him. All of them, one sound, layered, overlapping, a scream, not loud, but everywhere, in the space, in my head. I stumbled back, lost my footing. The room bent, twisted, collapsed inward. Like reality itself was folding. The shapes blurred, merged, lost form, lost identity. And then, silence. Everything stopped. Instant. The pressure released. The space reset. The room returned, empty, still, like nothing had happened. But I knew better, because I could still feel them, not gone, not vanished. Still there, watching, waiting. And then it hit me. They weren't just inside this place. They were part of it, not trapped, not contained, integrated, used, held in a way that didn't let them leave, because they weren't separate anymore. They had become something else, something this place needed, something it fed on, something it kept. A movement caught my eye. Closer now, much closer. I turned slowly, already knowing, already understanding. The shapes were forming again, not far, not distant, closing in. And this time, they weren't reaching for help. They were reaching for me. They were getting closer, not rushing, not attacking, just closing the distance, slow enough to watch, slow enough to understand, like they already knew. I wasn't leaving. I forced myself to stay still, not because I wasn't afraid, because something in me knew movement made it worse. The shapes shifted around me, stretching, folding, trying to hold together, and failing. Faces appeared, then vanished. Arms reached, then dissolved. Every second, they looked closer to being whole, and further from it at the same time. And beneath all of it, that presence, stronger now, focused, on me. The air thickened around my chest. Each breath pulled less than it should. A pressure built behind my eyes. Dull, constant, like something was pushing inward, from the inside. I turned slowly, looking for the door, the hallway, anything. There was nothing, no walls, no edges, no direction. Nothing led anywhere different. The space didn't trap me. It erased the idea of leaving. I took one step back anyway, and instantly, everything stopped. Every shape, every movement, frozen, all at once. Then they turned, not physically, not in a way I could see, but I felt it. Every part of that space focused on me at the same time. And in that moment, something changed. Not around me, inside the space itself, like a line had been crossed, like something had decided. I wasn't passing through anymore. I belonged. The silence deepened, thicker, closer. And then I heard it, not a whisper, not many voices, just one, clear, close. You stayed. It didn't come from a direction, didn't echo, didn't travel. It felt like it came from inside me. I swallowed, forced my voice out. "Who's there?" Even as I said it, I knew the question didn't matter anymore. The space shifted, subtle, but enough, like something had moved closer, without moving. Then it appeared, not fully, not clearly, but enough. A shape within the shapes, darker, more stable, where everything else flickered. This one held, didn't blur, didn't break, it stayed. And somehow, that made it worse. I couldn't see a face, no features. But I felt it, looking at me, not observing, understanding. You came back. The voice was calm, certain, not human, but not distorted, like it didn't need to change. My throat tightened. What is this place? A pause. Not hesitation. Consideration. This is where they remain. My eyes flicked to the shapes, the fragments, of the people that weren't people anymore. Why? Another pause. Then, because they crossed. That word hit different. Crossed, not taken, not trapped. Crossed. Crossed what? The space tightened. Subtle, but real. Through. The word settled. Heavy, final, and worse than any explanation. I stepped back again, and this time, the space reacted instantly. The pressure increased. The shapes leaned closer. Not touching, but close enough to feel, like static against my skin. You don't leave. The voice wasn't threatening, wasn't angry, just certain, like a rule, not a warning. My heart started pounding, breaking through whatever had been holding it down. I looked around again, searching. Anything, any direction. There wasn't one. Every path led deeper, every direction closed in. And then, it hit me. Hard. I wasn't trying to find my way out anymore. I was trying to remember how I got in, and I couldn't, not clearly, not completely. The memory felt distant, fading, like it was already slipping away. Like the longer I stayed, the less of me belonged anywhere else. The shapes shifted again, closer now, closer than before, and this time they didn't stop. Because whatever this place was, whatever that thing was, it wasn't just aware of me anymore. It had accepted me, and that meant I wasn't leaving. They didn't stop. That was the moment everything shifted, not just around me, inside me. The shapes kept closing in, slow, unavoidable, folding inward, stretching, overlapping, until there was no separation, no edges, no distance. They didn't rush. They didn't need to. They already knew. There was nowhere left to go. I stepped back, and this time I felt it. Resistance, not a wall, not something solid, something worse, something that existed without shape. My back hit it, sudden, final. There was nothing there, and yet I couldn't move through it. Trapped, not a thought, a fact. A low sound filled the space. Deep, uneven, like something breathing. Not in the room, not in the walls, in the space itself. And then they moved, closer, so close I could feel them, not touching, passing through, cold, not freezing, empty, like something that had never been alive. They slid through me, arms, chest, face, like I wasn't fully there to them either. My breath broke. Stop! I tried to push forward, forced my body to move. But it didn't matter. They didn't react, because something else was happening. Inside me, a sharp pressure, behind my eyes, sudden, violent. My vision blurred, then snapped, and everything changed. I wasn't in the room anymore. I was somewhere else, watching, a road at night, a boy walking alone, Tommy. I knew it before I saw him. The memory wasn't mine, but I was inside it. He walked toward the house, the door already open, waiting. The scene shifted. A woman, mid-40s, walking that same road. She slowed, turned, saw something. Not fear, not danger, recognition. Then she turned, walked toward the house. Not forced, not dragged, drawn. The images came faster, stacking, blending. Different people, different times, same path, same ending. They all walked in. No struggle, no hesitation, like they were meant to, like something had already reached them before they ever arrived. I staggered, hands gripping my head, the pressure building, the visions overlapping. Too much. Too fast. Make it stop, the voice answered. They came through, clear, close, unavoidable. I forced my eyes open. The room snapped back, the shapes still there, closer than ever. But now I understood. They hadn't been taken, not the way I thought. They had come, and something had let them in. What are you? My voice barely held. The darker shape shifted, not moving, expanding, like it was already everywhere. I am what remains. The answer settled. Not explaining, but somehow complete. What does that mean? A pause. Then, I am what is left when they pass through. Something inside me dropped. This isn't a house. The space reacted, subtle, a ripple. No, then, you made it one. I froze. You, not just me, all of us, people. The realization hit harder than anything before it. The house wasn't natural. It wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. It was built on purpose. Not to hide something, not to protect, to shape, to contain, to give it form, a boundary, a door, and I was on the wrong side of it. The shapes pressed closer, sliding through me, not just my body, deeper, my thoughts, my memory. I felt it slipping. Small things, names, details, pieces, pulled away. Stop! I pushed forward again, fighting the resistance. But the space didn't fight back. It didn't need to. You are already here. And in that moment, everything became clear. I hadn't found this place. I hadn't uncovered anything. I hadn't broken into something hidden. I had followed something, all the way back to where it started. The house didn't trap people. It didn't chase them. It didn't need to. It waited. And when they came close enough, it opened. And once they crossed, they didn't leave. They changed, became something else, part of something, something that didn't end, something that didn't forget, something that only grew. The shapes closed in again, closer, closer than before. And this time, I felt it, not just around me, inside me, like whatever this place was. It wasn't just holding me anymore. It was beginning to keep me. I forced myself forward, not because I thought it would help, because standing still felt worse. The space didn't open, it adjusted. That was the difference. Every step I took didn't create distance. It changed the space around me, like it was making room for me. That thought tightened something in my chest. The shapes didn't follow. They parted. Slow, deliberate. Not to let me escape, to let me go deeper, like I was being guided. I stumbled forward, breathing uneven, the pressure still there, behind my eyes. The further I went, the less it looked like anything real. No walls, no corners, no limits, just depth, endless, shifting, unstable. And then I saw it, something ahead, still, solid, different. I slowed, eyes locked, a person standing there, facing away. For a moment, I felt something I hadn't felt since entering. Relief. Someone else, someone real. Hey! My voice bent, distorted, didn't travel right, no response. The figure didn't move, didn't react, didn't shift. I stepped closer. Hey, can you hear me? Nothing. Something about it felt wrong, not dangerous, not threatening, familiar, too familiar. I slowed again, more careful now, more aware. The closer I got, the stronger it became. Recognition, not the person, the posture, the stance, the way it stood. At the tilt of the head, I knew it. No, the word slipped out, before I understood why. I stopped just behind it, close enough to reach, still facing away, still perfectly still. Turn around, my voice felt smaller, like the space didn't want it carried. For a moment, nothing, then it moved, slow, wrong. The head tilted first, slight, unnatural, like something remembering how to move, not something that knew how. Then the shoulders, the body followed, piece by piece, delayed, unsteady, until it faced me, and everything inside me dropped. It was me, not similar, not close, exact. Same face, same uniform, same posture, but wrong. The eyes, they didn't focus, didn't see me. They looked through me, like I wasn't there, like something else was, behind me, deeper. I stepped back. No, that's not. The words died. It blinked, slow, delayed. Then it smiled. Not like I would. Not like anyone should. Too wide, too still, like it had been placed there, not formed. You came back. My voice, but layered. Something underneath it, speaking through it. I shook my head. This isn't real. It didn't argue, didn't react, just watched. Yes, it said calmly. It always happens. That word hit harder than anything, always. How many times? I didn't mean to ask, but it came out anyway. It tilted its head further, thinking. Enough. My stomach turned. That doesn't mean anything. It does, it said. You just don't remember. The pressure returned, sharp, sudden. Images flickered, standing at the door, walking inside, hearing the footsteps, again and again and again. I staggered. That's not possible. It stepped forward. I froze. It moved closer, slow, deliberate, mirroring me. You said that before. My heart pounded, harder, faster, louder. Stay back. The words meant nothing, even as I said them. It stopped just feet away, close enough to see everything, every detail, every flaw, every difference. And every time, it said calmly, you come here, a pause. You see it, another. You try to leave, silence. Then, you stay. The words settled, heavy, final. I stared at it, trying to reject it, trying to fight it, but something deeper recognized it. And that was worse. Because if it was telling the truth, if I had been here before, then this wasn't the first time. It wasn't even the second, or the third. And suddenly, something became impossible to ignore. I couldn't tell which one of us had been here longer. And that meant something worse than being trapped. It meant I had never actually left. I don't remember how I got out. That's the part that stays with me. Not the voices, not the shapes, not even what I saw inside that place. Just the gap. One moment, I was standing there, facing myself, and the next, I was outside. Cold air hit my lungs. Sharp, sudden, like I had been underwater. I stumbled forward, caught myself against the hood of my cruiser, my hands shaking uncontrollably. The night was still there. The road, the trees, the silence. Everything looked normal, but something was wrong because I couldn't feel the line where the inside ended and where I began again. I turned slowly. The house stood there, exactly the same, still, quiet, unchanged. No light, no movement, no sign, like nothing had happened, like it never had. I stared at it, too long, waiting for something, anything, but it didn't react. It didn't need to, because now I understood. Those cases, they didn't end. They paused. I got back into the cruiser, movement slow, off, like I wasn't fully in control of them yet. The drive back felt longer, heavier, every turn, too familiar, like I had done it before, too many times, like this wasn't the first return. By the time I reached town, The sky had started to change, not morning, but close, light pressing at the edges. It should have helped. It didn't. The station looked the same lights, same walls, same silence. But the moment I stepped inside, something felt off, not visible, not obvious, internal, like something had been moved and not put back. I walked to my desk, slow. The files were still there, exactly where I left them. 3 cases, same names, same endings. House cleared. The words felt heavier now. Wrong, because I knew they weren't true. I leaned forward, scanning again, and that's when I saw it. A 4th file, on top. I froze. I hadn't put that there. I knew I hadn't. My hand moved, slow, careful. I opened it, and my chest tightened. I recognized it immediately. The name, the location, everything. The case I had just worked. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was, it was already finished. Final note. House cleared. My eyes dropped to the bottom, to the signature, and everything inside me went still. Because it was mine, not similar, not close, exact, same pressure, same strokes, like I had already signed it. I stared at it, waiting for something to come back. A memory, a moment, anything. But there was nothing, just that gap, that missing piece, like something had happened and been taken. The radio cracked, sharp, sudden, cutting through everything. "Sheriff, you there?" I didn't answer, still staring at my name, written in a way I didn't remember writing it. "Sheriff?" I picked it up slowly. "Yeah." My voice, normal, too normal. "We've got a report, missing person." A pause. I closed my eyes, just for a second, then asked anyway. "Location?" Another pause. Then, "Ridge Road." The words landed exactly how I expected. Heavy, certain, unavoidable. I opened my eyes, looked back at the file, at the address, already written. Same street, same house, same ending. Again. I set the radio down. Slow, stood up. The chair scraped behind me. Soft, final. For a moment, I didn't move, didn't reach for my keys, didn't walk to the door. I just stood there, because something felt different now. Not fear, not hesitation, something worse. Acceptance. Like I had already made this choice. Like I always did. I picked up my keys, turned toward the door, and this time, there was nothing holding me back, no doubt, no resistance, because somewhere deep down, I already knew how it ends. And next time, I won't question it, I won't hesitate, I won't stop, I'll just go.